evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting here in Greenwood. This is Tuesday evening, December the 6th, approximately 7:10. Ms. Derry, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Casey Brown.
Here.
Rob Meeker.
Here.
Rod Powell.
Here.
Danny McDaniel.
Here.
Tim Terry.
Here.
Lance Terry is absent, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If everyone would please stand, we will begin our meeting tonight, starting with the prayer led by Brother Ronnie Deal from First Baptist Church, followed by a pledge from Chief Sir Brian.
Let's pray together. God, we thank you so much for your many, many blessings. I want to thank you for our community, for last night, and for such a great turnout and just a spirit in this community of unity. And Lord, I thank you for the blessing of living in Greenwood. Lord, we pray for this meeting tonight. Pray for our leaders that make decisions, for those that serve in this community. We thank you for their sacrifice and their willingness to be a part and lead this community. We ask your blessings on this meeting. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. That's right. At this time, I would like the council to consider approving of the minutes for the November 14th, 2022 regular city council meeting.
Mayor, make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Meeker.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Daniel.
Yes.
Tim Terry.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. At the recognitions and acknowledgements section of our agenda this evening, we have a few things to talk about. I do want to say congratulations, although many hearts broken, but yet they did wonderful. The boys football team at Little Rock came for state runner-up, so proud of those guys. I know they worked hard for that, and I couldn't be more proud. I believe we're going to wait on the cheerleading, so if they do well, we're waiting on the bigger news for them. So, did you gentlemen have something? Yes, sir. Mr. Brown?
I'd like to, we did this to honor Rod Powell when he left office. We're glad to have him back, as a councilman, but it was in recognition of service to Lance Terry, and I would just like to, on behalf of the city councilman, since he was one of our own here, and so I have to kind of read this, and then, at the end of the meeting, I'd like to get, the councilman's signatures on this to present to Lance. He wasn't able to be here tonight, but it says, in recognition, on behalf of the people of Greenwood, the city of Greenwood, by honor of the Greenwood City Council, publicly recognizes Richard Lance Terry. Whereas Lance Terry has faithfully and with utmost dedication served the city of Greenwood as a city councilman from January 1st, 2007 to December 31st, 2022. And whereas Lance Terry is one of only 3 Greenwood City councilmen to achieve the designation of certified municipal official by the Arkansas Municipal League, and whereas Lance Terry, during his tenure, has served faithfully and competently as mayor pro tempore, and whereas Lance Terry was the primary force that was instrumental in the formation of the Greenwood Freedom Fest, forming a committee and making the 4th of July a momentous event in Greenwood, and whereas Lance Terry has been key to professionalizing the Greenwood City Fire Department, during which time the first IFSAC certified firefighter 1 and 2 personnel were brought in, all of which led to the city of Greenwood obtaining an ISO rating of 2, thus making the city an anomaly in the state of Arkansas for a first-class city for a fire department of limited career employees, basically volunteer fire department. And whereas Lance Terry has instituted an annual policy of increasing fire suppression access through fire hydrant placement, an important step that has followed to this day. And whereas Lance Terry continues to serve the city of Greenwood as the battalion chief and primary training officer for the Greenwood City Fire Department. And now, therefore, the city of Greenwood wishes to express its gratitude to Richard Lance Terry for his tireless public service as a Greenwood City Councilman, and with these words, tribute is paid and recognition is deserved for all the ways in which Lance has contributed to making Greenwood, Arkansas feel like home.
Very good. I think he needs this. Thank you, Councilman Brown, and thank you, Lance Terry. I couldn't yell loud enough when he got on. We do appreciate him.
He can watch that on the video.
That's
later.
right, that's right. So we have another presentation or acknowledgement I would like to do tonight. If it's okay, I would like to ask Mr. Hamby to join me down front. That's not a bad idea.
That's good cake.
Daniel suggested that we feed each other cake. So there's some, that would be a little weird, but you know, but that's me. It wouldn't be weird for me. So earlier this evening at 5:30, we had a little get together for Mike. Mike, as you know, has retired in 32 years. That's a long time, and I told him I was going to tell a bad joke earlier, and I didn't get around to it. I'm not going to do it now in your honor. I'll try to hold it off. But so we want to present this to you, Mike, and I've already got my fingerprints on it. Sorry. In recognition of Michael J. Hamby for 32 years of public service as city attorney for the city of Greenwood, Arkansas. Mike has been a personal friend of mine for many, many years. We worked together at the Boys and Girls Club, and then of course here. And tonight, many people had a lot of things to say. We kind of gouged him a little bit, roasted him a little bit, but the word that I heard the most tonight was his calming, his calmness in the way he can portray himself and keep us all calm in times of difficulty and oddities and things like that. So, Mike, I love you. You know that, man. And I appreciate you very much. And it was an honor for me to sit beside you for almost 8.5 years. Thank you very much for your service. I appreciate you.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Been an honor, guys, and a privilege. Thank you.
But he has to stay the whole meeting.
I'll say let's stay with them.
No, he didn't get a piece. Good. All right, moving on excuse me, on our agenda is committee reports, and we had a couple not coming in until later. I think you get everybody squared away. So Boys and Girls Club, I know Kenny was here earlier. He had to leave because they're playing basketball tonight. Sorry, good time to do this because I promised you I would not make you stay all night long. I might make you, but let your wife leave. So we have a new officer here tonight, and his name is Jacob something. Barker. Sorry, Jacob. Let me warn you something about Officer Barker here. He is an ex-Marine, and he will take you down with a handshake. He may look like he's 14 years old, but I assure you he can squeeze your hand. So welcome to the city of Greenwood. I'll let you introduce your wife if you don't mind. Of course, the brains of the outfit.
Yeah, so of course, Jacob Barton is my wife Morgan. Grew up here, went to school here since 2001. I graduated in 2017, and thank you for having me, and I'm ready to give back to the community and be the positivity in every interaction with the public.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to give you, I just want my picture made with you. Did you do that? Oh, did I? All right, let's sit out and get ready. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Been nice to meet you. Jacob was on duty last night along with several other of the officers at the parade and did an excellent job for us, keeping us safe and everything squared away. So thank you for that.
Okay, the committee report, our reports are on their tablets. I failed to email them to you like I normally do because I've been completely covered today, busy. And there was an update that I can read you from my email, or I'll forward you the email from water, wastewater, sent by tape, but I'll just, it's only 2 sentences, so I'll go ahead and read it. He said there's 2 things to report. The commission passed budgets at regular November meeting, and that budget was presented to council at budget session. Temporary repairs are underway at the Shadow Lake Block Building lift station. That's it.
Very good. I don't know if you heard, the rest of the reports are on your tablet instead of printed form tonight, so. I failed to do this too. I want to say to Casey Craig, where are you, Casey? Would you stand so we can all take a look at you, sir? Casey Craig was in charge, the chamber, of course, was in charge of the parade last night, did an outstanding, I guess, Food Bob, did an outstanding job as always, but Casey, needless to say, raised the bar on the ceremonies on the square last night for our Christmas parade. So thank you, sir, for doing that, and I know you're going to build on that, but you did it. It was great. The fire department was there to do their job, and we appreciate the fire department. The police were out in numbers, and we appreciate them very, very much. Everybody was fantastic, and I believe we had more people on the square than I've ever seen, ever, so, including the parade. So, thank you very much. We appreciate you, and Bob and Chamber, thank you. Citizen Forum, I don't know that we've got, Dalton, would you mind checking that clipboard back there for me real quick? I don't know if anybody signed up tonight or not. No? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the financial report. Mr. Marsh.
You have it on your tablets. I'm going to go through the key financial pieces of data because we do have an audit that we need to be talking about later. It's one of your agenda items. The city sales and use tax, we budgeted 6%. Our cumulative growth through 11 months is 9%. And our cumulative growth above budget is 3% for city sales and use tax. Just so you know, projections on the budget, those of you that were here during the budget study session, you heard that we're looking at doing a 6% budget increase for next year for city sales and use tax. In 2020 we were at 16.1, 21 we were at 12% growth, 22 at 9% growth. So we're looking at doing an overall reduction in our projected revenues of about 8.5%. 3% comes from the city sales and use tax, and about 5.4% will come from the county sales tax. On the county sales tax side, we budgeted a 10% growth. We are cumulative for this year at 15.3. That's a 5.3% growth, but we are noticing a reduction in the growth rate, if you will. And based on the economic indicators that I'm seeing and coming through Stevens and some of the other areas of experts that I follow, they're looking at everything seems to be pulling back a little bit more. Even like we talked about, Portsmouth is looking at reducing their projection of their revenues. So to be a little less aggressive, we're looking at budgeting at a 10% budget rate. Again, as we did this year, even though the rate was a little bit higher than what we had anticipated. Advertising and promotion tax revenue, we budgeted 10. Our same period was 14.19. That's this month over the same period last month. But our cumulative tax collection was 9.5%, so we're about 0.5% under our budget. Again, we looked at one of the bigger top 6 of our A&P vendors. Is still not operational right now, not generating what we would normally. Otherwise, we would be probably hitting that 10% mark. Cash flow wise, as of November, we had a net decrease in cash for the month of $1.4 million, and 800 and some odd thousand of it came from the purchase of the senior center. Year-to-date net increase or decrease in cash, we had for year-to-date $771,000 increase in cash. The fund balance is, or was as of November 30th, $16,005,000, and that is a 4.7% increase cumulative for the year. Our net income revenue was $17,004,000, expense $16 million. Our net income is $1.4 million. We had a water sewer AR revenue adjustment of $22,000. That's immaterial. Our 2022 ARPA funds reflecting the expenditure for the senior center is now at $154,000. That's an extraordinary item we removed, so our adjusted for the extraordinary items Net income is 1.3 million for the year. Capital expense, our budget is 6.89 million, and we have achieved so far through November 2.29 million. As far as expenditures, that's 33.3% of what we budgeted being spent. We are addressing that in the budget reviews. We're addressing that as the budget's coming in from the departments to address the carryover items that will be happening as a result. And you're going to hear a little bit more about those capital projects when we start talking about the water sewer audit that just recently occurred for 2021. There's some numbers in there that's like the good and the bad and the ugly. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Other than that, there's not anything else that I would have as far as the key data.
Questions from council? Comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Agenda additions, we do have one tonight. The chief, did he walk in? There he is, okay. So we're gonna add number 9, police, under police, vehicle purchase resolution to amend budget is what I had listed as.
Resolution to amend budget for vehicle transfer.
Okay.
I'm always gonna change it, don't
Yeah, absolutely. I'll look forward to it every time.
Is this in our package, right? Or no?
I? It's in the very back, yes.
Okay, everybody okay with adding that? Agenda? Okay. All right, we'll move on to old unfinished business. There is none. So we will move to new business. Item number 1 is finance, 2021 water sewer audit report.
Wow, riveting start off the day.
Yeah.
This is a requirement. We have received the audit, and we have already discussed this with the Water Commission, and we're obligated to also bring it to your attention before we can actually then distribute and close this audit. As far as our auditor was concerned, this was a very uneventful year, but it has some events that are necessary that we talk about. The opinion was an unqualified clean opinion. We've had that now for several years running. The financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. I am on page 1 of your document if you're looking at it on the tablet.
I think I failed to get them.
You failed to get them?
But it is out there on the internet if you can want to navigate to it. It's out there on the.
No, wait,
I can barely navigate.
I did a copy of it for him, because there are some key numbers there.
Well, I think
You can pull it up on the tablet.
Yeah, you just,
Let's take a moment and let them
in the
go there.
city of Greenwood.
Just, yeah, go to the city, greenwoodar.org.
All right, here's the best way to do this. Thank you.
I could have dropped it into
I
that.
just assumed it was gonna be on.
I didn't even think.
From where?
Go to, public documents. We got a homepage, go to home. Okay, you got, there's finance on there. There's the accounts.
Say, you know, it's under public
Yes.
documents, you can say,
Yes,
Yes,
and then under finance.
uh-huh,
yes.
and then you'll see audits,
Page 2. This is the 2021 water sewer audit?
yes, uh-huh. Yeah, it's on page
Okay.
2,
Okay.
2 pages,
Okay.
it's at the very bottom.
Didn't we get this mailed to our house?
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't think it was mailed to your house, I don't have the copies yet.
We do.
You do? I usually get the copies and give them one. That's why I didn't give it to them, because I didn't have it.
Oh, so it's my fault.
Do what?
Nothing.
Let the record show.
Let the
Let the
record
record
show.
show.
Mr. Marshall's fault.
I quit, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, thanks that we had the tablets, we were able to get to it.
That's right.
There you go.
Which was sharp, mysterious.
Great investment in
I
that
did.
knowledge.
That's right. And I'm glad I put it out there on the internet, even though y'all haven't heard it yet. So, now they have it on their tablets.
All right, so you ready?
It's magic.
Are you convenient or everybody's up this?
All right. Everybody still with us?
What page you on?
Matter.
What page did
Very
you
bottom
want?
one on page 2.
On what page did you want them to be on? Of it?
First, you have to pull it up.
Well, these ones over here wondered.
Two, I think.
One, the opinion page, independent auditor's report. I wrote the numbers and circled them on the bottom for you.
Anybody want to lead us in a Christmas carol? Well,
Yeah, everybody, sing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everybody there?
I think we
Over
are,
there?
All right,
well, you good?
ready, set, go.
Okay, go.
All right. The opinion is a clean opinion. That is the first paragraph on the actual audit report, number page 1. Everything else about emphasis of matter, responsibility of management, the auditor's responsibility for what they're performing was actually in the engagement letter, and we, both parties conformed to what those stipulations were to make the audit actually render a clean opinion. Now I'm on page 3, and these numbers are now at the very bottom of each of the pages. This would be your actual combined statement of net position. It's the balance sheet. First thing I want to talk about is the assets. You look at the cash on hand and the accounts receivable between 20 and 21. You notice that the total current assets dropped 2.3%. Most of that's coming from the cash in bank and cash on hand. That's unrestricted monies. Restricted asset cash in bank is below it, and restricted, anytime they refer to restricted cash, that's your city sales and use tax at 1%. That comes through the tax revenue source, instead of water systems revenue, which is what people pay for their water bills. And that's the unrestricted portion. It's usually used for operations. Down on the bottom, you'll see the capital asset, right about the middle of the page actually. It says less accumulated depreciation. I highlighted this for one of the key things that accountants look at is the percentage of depreciation you have on your actual assets. So it talks about how aged they are. Anytime you start getting above a third of the asset's value being depreciated, you start realizing that you're going to be looking at replacing and or doing some maintenance or repairs on some of your assets. We're at 37.3% accumulated depreciated. As far as the construction in progress is concerned, you will notice that 2020, our construction in progress dollar amount was $176,708, and in 21 it was $940,000. Now recall, if you all recall, 2020 we stopped all capital expenditures, or at least stopped it for a period of time because of COVID. We did not know what our revenue stream was going to be like, and we didn't want to go out there spending on things that didn't absolutely mission critical need to be done. So that's why you saw that number being so low. Just to note, just to give you that little hiccup, you'll see in 2019, if you had the reports, I do, I have the number. 2019, it was $572,000 that we spent, dropped to 176 and up to 940. So that represents some of what we needed to do in 21, but it also was some of the catch-up that rolled forward from 2020. Just to give you an explanation as to why those numbers are so funky there in the asset side. If you go to the second page of the balance sheet, page 4, current liabilities. One of the things I wanted to point out was that you'll see a major reduction in the current maturity of long-term debt. And that has largely to do with the sewer bond, because the sewer bond was majorly getting paid off and paid down. That will not, you'll see that one more time in 2022, but only for a 3-month period of time, because it was paid off in April of 2022. April of this year, we paid off the sewer bond. So we only have one remaining debt, and that's the water bond. Down at the bottom, you see net position. You'll see restricted and unrestricted. Again, the restricted is the city sales and use tax 1%. The unrestricted is the O&M funds generally used for, or it's generated from water systems revenue, what the users of the water service and sewer service pay on the utility bills. That's the generation of money for operations. That's one that we key on that lets us know whether we're in need of a rate revision or some kind of a rate study to be done. If you'll turn to page 5, you'll look at the combined statement of revenues and expenditures. This is your income statement. You will see that the 2020 and 2022, it is reflecting an operational loss. And by law, you're not to have a loss because you are a for-profit entity in water systems revenues. But what that includes up at the top is depreciation, which is a non-cash line item, a non-cash expense. So we are a modified cash-based accounting structure, not an accrual-based. So if you were to take the depreciation in 2021 off, that $662,000, that's not a real cash expenditure. If you took that away from the $499, our net profit was our operating profit, not our net profit. Our operating profit actually was $162,000 when you adjust it for a modified cash base of accounting. Do the same thing for 2020, and our number was $374,000. What is more significant, though, is the amount of decrease that happened between 20 and 21. Again, you do realize, though, that we cut back on our spending in 2020 due to COVID, so there was a little more catch-up in 2021. The next page, though, is a little more tall-telling, or however that's said. Cash flows from operational activities. We had the water and sewer department and us, the finance department, had a discussion about raising the rates for the water sewer services and sale of water. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, they made a decision to table that and not move forward with it. And then legislation came out with the new law 605, I think is the way it's being referred to. And that law does require that we do a rate study every 5 years. So a rate study is being budgeted this year in the water sewer department's budget. And that rate study is going to assimilate all of the current factors for costs associated with operations. And it is going to take into effect a rate of inflation over 5 years to maintain stability. A lot of smaller towns got into trouble when they ran out of monies in order to do necessary and needed repairs. I did analyze the current budget that we have that was presented to the Water Commission, and right now we're looking at about 50-50. 50% in new growth and new infrastructure, and 50% in major repairs and maintenance that need to be done, mostly on the sewer side. But what would tell you that you're in need to really start analyzing this is the net cash provided by operating activities. This isn't financing where you're moving money from city sales and use tax to bolster the operation. This is the money generated from your operations. And you'll notice it went in 2020 from $229,000 to $65,004. That's a 71.5% decrease in 1 year. And it is time that there hasn't been a rate increase, I believe, in water systems for at least 10 years. And they're looking at maybe having to be forced now, because when you use a steady stream of revenue that is not growth-based, in other words, you don't raise your rates for 10 years, the operating expenses are still going up. Every time you do a salary increase, materials and supplies increase, office supplies increase, the cost of doing business increases. Eventually, you're going to surpass your revenue stream's ability to maintain profitability. And that's what's happening now. That's what it's showing you right here in this statement of cash flows. To let you know, when we started talking about this, I was asked by our accountant to give you the historical from 2015 on. 2015, 16, and 17, our net cash provided by operating activities went 489, 499, these are 499, and 496. So 15, 16, and 17, it was pretty robust, pretty steady, and we didn't really need to look at raising any kind of rates or doing a rate study to determine what is feasible and necessary. 2018, though, it dropped to 191, went up to 260 in 19, 229 in 20, and down to 65 in 21. So in 18, we started talking about it. 19, they were looking to implement it in 20, and that's when all the COVID hit. So they pulled back on that. So I can tell you it is under serious consideration, but it is going to be done by an outside independent, third-party, contracted rate study specialist who is going to be providing us the information in order to make an informed decision about what absolutely needs to be done. And that's, you'll get more from the Water Sewer Commission on that.
Tom, when the Water Commission looks at something like that, will they also take into account, like you said, for over that 30%, you know, appreciation, you know, as far as replacing, you know, old lines or whatever?
Yeah, they're already doing that in their, what they're projecting over the next 3 to 4 years, they're projecting a lot of the maintenance that needs to be done in order to maintain. But as far as knowing where those breaks are going to be, and if there is going to be a break, and if there's a water line that needs to be replaced, a lot of that's going to be determined by what we're setting, and they're talking seriously about a contingency fund. And technically, that 1% permanent city sales and use tax is operating kind of like their contingency fund, because they don't need to go solely to the water systems revenue in order to generate capital money. That capital money has been granted to them by the citizens of Greenwood, and you grow that as the city of Greenwood grows, and it's there to be used. Now, what we should start looking at after we get over this next hurdle of major capital expenditures is reserving a portion of that for contingency, like 20%. Put 20% aside and restrict it for a contingency fund in order to be able to, it's kind of like a replacement reserve. If you ever had to do a HUD finance loan on a major property, they want you to automatically pay into through your mortgage payment an amount that they'll hold as what's called a replacement reserve for maybe you need a new roof. You don't have the profitability to do it. Well, guess what? You just tuck this money away. We'll make sure all our property until you pay off that loan is taken care of. Well, that's kind of like what the contingency fund would operate in. They wouldn't have to worry. They would have the money set aside. So, yeah, we're talking through all those factors. And I'm sure that's going to come out when they look at the rate study as well. But the age of the assets does make you start planning for that. Page 9 is the notes to the financial. Depository accounts is always a key worry, because when you start putting all your eggs in one basket, you know the FDIC and the insured corporation, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, only insures up to a certain dollar amount. Anything that you have in excess of that has to be collateralized, and we have to maintain that schedule of investing these excess funds so that if there's a bank failure, our money is protected. And that statement there, these deposits that are held for the water sewer department are fully collateralized with securities the banks have pledged against these excess deposits. And that's one thing we deal with on a monthly basis. We make sure that we are fully collateralized, and it's audited by both auditors, legislative for our side and the water sewers. Accounts receivable, uncollectible accounts receivables are charged directly against income in the year they are determined to be uncollectible. Since I've been here in 5 years, we've only made one write-off to the water sewer account that I know of, only one since the last 5 years. One of the things that came up though in the notes and the findings, there's 2 findings. One of them is the accounts receivable balance on our books does not match what they're booking and what he books. And so I had to sit down with him and I found out why. It's because the accounts receivable that is booked on their side, the way he books it for the accrual presentation basis of accounting, is that he only uses what was actually billed for the next month. He does not use the aged receivable amount. It's immaterial as far as they're concerned. But our water systems revenue generates a subsidiary ledger that shows everybody's account aged, past due. And I book to that number. So what's on my books and the numbers that I report to you in the balance sheet matches. I can go pull a list and show you every single person that owes a piece of that. So we agreed that my number, but now that he understands what we're doing to true it up on a monthly basis, he said it's fine, and hopefully we'll adjust that finding won't be an issue anymore.
When you said that you've only written off
Written off one time.
one time, okay.
$1 amount that was for a grouping of very old, outstanding, nobody, uncollectible amounts. And it
Is
was
there,
very material.
is there a time frame that we should use, like, say, every 5 years, or anything that is 5 years and older, or something that, we said that we should, use that to write off?
Well, if the numbers start to become material, which they shouldn't, because they have a very good remedy, and that is they shut you off. So they stop the bleeding. They're one of the few that can do that. Most other companies are, they have to balance your ability to pay in the future versus do they want to make a sale? Well, they're a different breed. They just say, hey, you don't pay? When you pay, we'll turn your water back on. So
We did vote on the time, there is a timeline, and it was a real short timeline, and then Carlin came in and said, hey, we had somebody after about 2 years, what happens when people move back to town, they have this outstanding debt, they have to pay it before they get their water on. I don't remember what that is, I'll have to look it up. I don't think it's annually, but it may be every 3 years or something. But the commission did vote on the timeline, I just don't remember what it is.
I believe it was either 18, I think it was 18 when we made the decision. It may have been early 19 when they made the write-off. So if it's 3 years, we're right there.
I'll have to look it up, I just don't remember it. It's out there.
But anyway, the aged amounts are very immaterial to what's on our accounts receivable. So when you see an AR balance for water sewer on your balance sheet, the bulk of that, like 90-something% of it, is the next month's bill that hasn't been collected yet. That's what the accounts receivable are. As far as the next page 10, compensated absences, I don't believe I had anything else here. Compensated absences, that's your vacation pay and things that we are required to pay that as a payout based on our policy that he has to accrue on the books. We don't normally accrue things on a cash basis. We book it when the expense is incurred. So when we pay it out, it's booked. And so he modifies our reports for that purpose. So in 2019, which is a number that's not on your books, it was $92,000 that he accrued. It dropped to 49 in 20, and it went up to 64 in 21. That's basically the rate of pay and the number of hours that they've accumulated. So that number can jump based on the salary. Every time the salary increases, even though the hours may not have increased, the book amount will increase because we owe that. If you turn to page 11, that's your bonds. You'll see that, again, I said that the first one is the ADFA bond. That's the sewer bond. It is paid off now, April of 22. You do know that on page 12, it talks about our non-compliance level, although he did use the term because we did a technical defeasance. He used the term the fund is substantially compliant with the bond covenant. Bond covenants cover all debt for the water sewer department. The bond covenant required us to have 110% of the revenue above the total debt service that was for the year, the annual debt service. We were not meeting that on the sewer side, so we technically, we did a technical defeasance where we reserved that amount to pay off the bond because the bond prohibited us from paying it off early. That's due to the favorable interest rate we had. It goes down in August of 2020, the fund made a reservation against these excess funds for the purpose of retiring the ADFA bond. So while the language still shows that we were not meeting the requirement, we technically were. The bond companies and the people that rate our bonds did not see any difficulty with that. A true defeasance is we place that actual bond debt with a bank or another institution, pay them the money they need in order to pay it off, and then it comes off our books. And it's like we don't even own it anymore. We didn't do that because of the cost associated with placing it with another institution. Defined contribution plan, that's the city contribution for the retirement, 7.5% of eligible employee salaries. And you'll see a breakdown there of $55,000 and $53,000 respectively that we contributed to the retirement of the water sewer department's employees. Just so you know, our total contribution for the retirement is roughly about $125,000 to $135,000 per year for the retirement.
For both
Excess, pardon?
For both departments.
It's $125,000 for the city. It's $55,000 for both departments of water sewer of that amount. It does not include appointing you guys because they're lofty. And, you know, fire is the same way. So their retirement is handled solely, totally different. That is just the non-uniformed people. Okay, if you look at page 14, there's a section there that talks about restricted monies. It talks about restricted for repayment of customer deposits. That's the meter deposits that we have on hand. We are now in compliance with the audit as far as our books matches what is on the subsidiary every year. We adjust for that. Restricted for bond repayment, and then the restricted for construction and capital. That's your city sales and use tax fund at $4 million too. Talks about down at the bottom the sales tax revenue projections. We're projecting for 2023 about $2 million to come in for purposes of capital expenditures for water sewer. The only thing that is left on that audit that you see there is page 17, which is what we've done is we broke apart water sewer. We came up with a water fund, sewer fund, and then a total. This way it shows you the profitability of the water department separate from the sewer and who's carrying who. So the water department, again, you have to adjust for the depreciation, is $331,000 profit or surplus operating net income. Sewer was $169,000 upside down. So you're looking at $162,340. That's the number I've already quoted you. So you do realize that sewer during 2021 was still paying their sewer bond out of their operating earnings. So they were a little upside down and underwater on that as far as their debt is concerned versus how much money they were generating in revenue. That went away in 2022. They became much more profitable. The last 2 pages are the actual findings. One is segregation of duties. We'll always have that. That's not an issue. We do very good at mitigating the potential for malfeasance and or fraud and or mistakes and errors and omissions. As far as the accounts receivable balance, I've kind of mentioned that already. We do the true up based on a different factor, a different accounts receivable position than normal. And with that, that is the water sewer audit. It was very good, very good. Except for the fact that there is a discussion point which is already increased potential. And then now the rest. And now you know what?
Anybody still with us?
Hey,
Sorry,
you
Tom.
know, it's necessary to I have to do that.
I appreciate you very
Because
much.
Thomas Sante over there. is
Yes, he
gonna
wrote
write
every word down.
that
I
I
saw it.
said.
I saw it. Yes, we do need a motion to accept the
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
motion.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
And Harry.
Yes.
It was unanimous.
It was, yes. Thank you. And thank you for your expertise. We do appreciate it.
And what they say about nagging with your what?
Yeah. Next on the agenda, Mr. Bell, Planning and Building, ordinance to rezone 300 Westwood Avenue, R1 to C2 with an emergency passage.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Ms. Ferry, Hamby. Last time I'll be saying that.
No, you'll be calling me Mr. Hammy anytime.
No, it's fine. Tonight, I've got an ordinance in front of you asking for a rezone of the property that's currently owned by the city, the school out at Westwood. Property is in the northwest corner of the property at Westwood. This is Liberty Drive 71 for the purpose of building a Mercy walk-in clinic. It is currently now R1, needs to be zoned to C2. And along with this zoning, the school has agreed to grant us a 50-foot easement to the south of our sidewalk here to come into this road. So in the future, whenever the street department council approves it, we can build a road that will give a second entrance exit to Westwood. As you know, those people out there suffered for years, and this would give them some relief. Again, it's yet to be funded, but if we have the right of way, we can do it whenever we can afford it. I have an emergency clause on here because the Mercy Hospital needs to know that the property is zoned properly so that they can finish up their real estate purchase. Mr. Cohen is here representing both the school and Mercy. If you have any questions, he'd be glad to answer them for you.
You said where would be the second entrance to the Westwood School?
Run parallel with that trail.
See, Westwood Drive is over here.
Okay.
The easement will come across here and tie into this road here. And this is across the street from the Murphy Oil.
And so, I was just saying, is it Sadler Drive or whatever that's running down?
Sadler Drive runs this way. It runs across a major flood way, and so therefore, going this way would require a very expensive bridge.
The school still owns everything outside of that square,
Yes,
so the road is still really on school property,
they'll be through school property.
and then but they're gonna go ahead as part of the deed restructuring, they're gonna give 50 feet to the
Yes.
south of the trail.
Right there.
Okay,
And see, this is the parcel that they're selling to Mercy right here.
so that if we did ever build a road, it would tie into that drive.
Yes, right in here somewhere that would make a good turn to be able to come out on Liberty Drive. Like I said, the people in Westwood, you know, how much they suffered during school time anyway. And this also gives, brings it up to fire code where you have two entrances to a subdivision that size. The subdivision was built before the fire code was passed, I would imagine, but this will bring it up in compliance.
So is everything in that teal color, is that all floodplain?
Yes.
So
That
that,
got floodplain here, and they're gonna build that up. But this is floodway here.
okay.
And so, Sadler Road is as far as they'll ever go then?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, sadly, when I first moved to Greenwood, you could come into the parking lot over there and then come into Sadler Road up here. But, it's not something that we could connect onto.
The entryway into this property, which is gonna be the clinic, is it gonna be, when the road is ever brought through there, it's not gonna be in that same spot, or that there's gonna be two different?
This would give it the access to the clinic. If you were coming into Westwood, you could come down here and turn and come into the clinic. You can come in from Highway 71 into the clinic, or you can come down Liberty Drive into the clinic.
But this other road where me and Mayor may not ever build, is it gonna go into Liberty or into this entryway?
It will go into this road here that then intersects with Liberty.
Okay.
That's just preliminary drawing, you're just asking for rezoning there.
Yes,
They'll come back and go about sidewalks and maybe
Exactly.
landscape.
yeah, Rusty's working on that.
Should we not have this 50-foot easement, Sonny, in this ordinance?
I think if we just state that we are going to approve that with the 50-foot easement, and it be publicly stated, Mike could probably answer that. I think that is enough. I mean, the school has agreed to it. I've got emails from them where they've agreed to it. They talked to Rusty about it, and they've agreed to it with him. So I think we're on a good footing.
Are we just approving the master plan, is that what we're doing?
We're just rezoning this property.
Okay.
And, but we want to tell them that we will rezone this property with the caveat that we get a 50-foot easement.
I agree.
But there'll be a legal description ultimately
Oh,
of
yes.
this easement. that
Like I
we-
said, Rusty's working on that.
Yeah, again, Rusty Dillon with Olson Engineering, 302 Mill South, Fayetteville, Arkansas. I believe when we did the preliminary plat, that access was a condition of
Yes.
the plat, right? So So I guess question, does it have to be added to this rezone?
I just want to make sure it's documented somewhere, so like 10 years from some.
Verbally, we're putting that on the caveat, and like I said,
And with production of the final plat, we are planning to show that access easement along there. And I believe it's 50 feet total, including the trail easement.
Are you going to, tell us what you had to do to get the school to sell this property?
What we're what?
Are you gonna,
I believe we're under contract.
we've tried to buy that property before, and
You're under contract for 153? 153,000?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I think we're pursuing 4.5 acres or so.
You did, and I know, Mayor, ran by that before the council, you said the trail easement that already exists is part of that 50-foot
Yeah.
that we're getting.
Yes.
Okay. So that is ample room to build
build a level there.
our street.
What would be the approximate length of that road from Westwood to over there?
AC, I couldn't take it.
Couple hundred, no.
100 feet?
I don't know, I don't know, got nine
It's 400. I'd say it's 100 yards at least. 400.
I know, Rusty, I know we talked about this a little bit before the meeting, but we don't have any idea what the local Bailey Clinic is gonna have any affiliation yet or no?
I don't know the answer to that.
It was my understanding, and I don't know where I got the information, and I don't know when I was talking to the Mercy originally, I asked him, I said, are you closing this clinic down and opening up here? And they said no. This would be a separate.
You asked that in the meeting that we had.
Yeah.
I know Jim Reynolds had hit me up a long time ago about, well, it was the 4th of July, as a matter of fact, about trying to, wanted me to get on board if he needed a, whatever, some kind of letterhead from somebody up here to help, maybe just ask Mercy to, because they've upgraded everybody else in the country except for Greenwood's, facility. And I was just under the impression it was gonna be tied together, but, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just wondered, if I go there tomorrow and ask Dr. Barton about the new place, he's, let him know.
And with this one up and operating, they might give them,
Yeah.
chance to do more work over there because they are slammed.
Right.
Hunter's been trying to get his job in there for the last 2 or 3 days, and they just can't do it.
Is there any way we can get three-way cooperation between us, Mercy, and the school to try to, get that road in there?
Expedited,
Huh?
expedited and quicker.
Well, yeah, I think it might be like 10 years or maybe
Is it,
never.
will finance it or pay for it?
Or, yeah, 3 of
Good
us
luck
in
with
there.
that.
I don't know, I mean, we could ask. I mean,
They both got more money than us.
They'll all pay
Third,
third.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know the answer to that, we can ask, because I'm talking to him about turn lane too, at the same time, I was gonna be talking to him about that. I think it's, one thing, I think I could put this on Jeff to get us a cost guesstimate, if you will, on that.
Will do.
I do know that when Mike Davidson built the trail there, he built the trail as if we could drive a semi-truck on it, because that's just how Mike Davidson used to build things, and he had to undercut that quite a bit. It's pretty marshy through there. So,
Y'all done soil testing on your part yet?
Yes, sir, just got it back there.
How was it like? I mean, how far you gonna have to go down?
I think we had to undercut 3 or 4 feet.
That's not as bad as I thought.
and you're higher than that is.
Yeah, again, most of ours is out of the floodplain, but we still have probably 3 to 4 foot fill on there to get to the finish line.
That road is gonna be in the floodplain.
Well, I guess that's what I was just wanting to be taking into consideration. If we do build a road, is it going to cause flooding, or whatever, to the clinic? I mean, if we can kind of get that engineered in there or whatever, just to say,
That's
that
what
won't
they
create
do.
a problem when we
That's what
build
the
a road.
engineering will do.
Yeah, again, I think our portion that's in the floodplain that connects to Liberty, I want to say that's around 70 on the elevation, and we've already got a floodplain permit in to the city for that. Again, the rest of our site is kind of out of the floodplain. And our building's going to be, we haven't done engineering on it yet, but probably between 68, 69 and a half on the finished floor.
If you build a 32-foot road, whatever that is, you know, residential, that wouldn't create any kind of impact on y'all's
I
building?
don't know the answer to that. I don't think we've done any kind of flow studies or anything to it.
I would kind of like to see that factored in there, just, you know, because I hate that, you know, whatever, the negotiations work out, or if they don't work out, or whatever, but then later on down the road, we build something and we can't build it because it impacts y'all in a negative way or whatever.
That's what we'd have it engineered in, and,
Somebody's behind it.
1,200 feet.
1,200 feet.
1,200 feet from Westwood to Liberty Drive.
Make a motion, we approve the rezoning with the caveat that we did the 50-foot easement from the school. Is that right?
Do you want to put this on first reading by title only with that?
First reading by title only.
Does there need to be anything different on it's a 50-foot easement, but it's already 15 feet, Sonny?
20 minutes, 20.
It's 20 now, so it's actually we're gaining a third.
50 feet
No,
inclusive
50
of
total.
over 20.
50 total.
Yes.
I'd like to withdraw my motion and restate it total.
Restate it as in 50 total.
50-foot total.
Okay.
So I was
Wanna make-
actually going to get 30.
You're getting 30 feet. All right.
Yeah.
You're getting a new easement of 30 feet.
30 plus 20.
So I-
Right, we already have 20. Well,
With a
yeah.
50-foot wall on the south side, on the south side of the trail.
Because you're not going to end up with a 7 foot.
Is that going to be enough to build a collector river?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
It'll be a lucky guy.
Yeah, it's
I mean, Loki's had enough to build a local.
What's the width of the collector? Asking that one, I was curious.
I can tell you for sure, I can tell you the local.
Jeff, on your early,
Here on the collector, I want to say it's 40 something, but I'm not sure. We're covered with 50 figure.
I think the standard road's 27 feet, the collector
that's
starts
what I
at
was
8.
thinking. Jeff, do you know?
That's correct.
27?
And that's still enough for us to do utilities.
Yes.
The collector's 36.
37?
And in the easement would be 60 foot on the collector.
They're not looking
and
at it as a collector.
50 foot on the standard road.
So that's enough to get straight in and have utilities in there as well.
There's already sewer in there, I believe.
Yeah, sewer and water, existing sewer and water utility, the commission ran a water and sewer down to the intersection of Denver.
Never know when they need those.
This road is gonna get an unbelievable amount of traffic. Just FYI, if it never gets built.
I agree. We talked about this back not long after the trail was put in, probably would less than a year, about how bad, and the chief is the one that came with that concern about traffic over there. We actually thought for a second or two about turning the trails into a road.
Jim, is about 50 enough?
I'm just saying it's gonna get an unbelievable amount of traffic. I wouldn't say there'd be a lot of foot traffic as far as kids, there's nowhere to go unless they.
Well, the trail
Would
was.
they be parking on the, would they be parking on the side of the road like they do now, sort of waiting for the
Yes,
kids to
sir.
go to school?
No, the school's gonna put out some memo that says, don't be parking on Dick Cohen Drive, whatever it's gonna be called. Which, there you go, that's what it should be called. But anyway, they're gonna do it anyway.
What would the school do if the motion said 60 feet?
I got it in good authority, there's no more than 50 is gonna be given towards the shop.
I mean, I don't necessarily work for the school, but I've talked to Mr. Heslin a handful of times, including today on it. And I think 50 on an access easement was
That's
about what they want, we're willing to give up. Again, I can't speak for him, but I don't know if he's looking at purchase or what.
The road going into Westwood now from spur 10, I mean, that's more than a 50-foot easement, right? I mean, that's like the collector's street. But then I know it's got 2 cars then, and then 2 more cars can be parked on the side, still get that down there.
I'd like to withdraw my motion.
Withdraw it?
Withdrawing my motion. I'd like to make another motion.
Okay.
If we put this on first reading by title only, with the caveat that we're receiving 60 feet of easement.
What if you just made that one way going out? That would help the traffic.
We'll have 30 extra feet.
I'm saying if they won't give any
If
more.
they won't, yeah, we need to consider that, because this, you don't want that to, in my opinion, to hold
Well,
this,
I don't want to mess up the
to hold
project.
this project, this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and they need to start. Y'all are ready to get started, aren't you?
We are ready to purchase that property and start the design.
Your authority's doing it
Yeah, they're not gonna do
pretty good.
it. Same one with, she probably will draw again.
He doesn't think that's gonna fly.
Well, then it fails for lack of a second.
That's better than draw for 5,000. I'll make a motion. All that stuff Rod's been saying, but back to 50 feet.
Second.
By title only, first reading.
A total of 50.
Total of 50.
Have a motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yes.
It's unanimous. I'll read it. An ordinance amending ordinance number 22-13 for the purpose of rezoning certain property in the city of Greenwood, amending the official zoning map of the city of Greenwood, declaring an emergency or for other purposes.
I would say this, if you've got the 50 feet, theoretically, you have the width to build a collector street, if that's what we decide we need to do. I mean, we can always move a walking trail, if we have to. You know, what I mean, it's easier to do that than build the wrong side street. You know.
Could it be putting the utilities underneath the road?
Well, if you got 50 feet and the collector's, what, 37, whatever we said. Right. I mean, you may have to get rid of the walking trail to do that, but at least you have that option.
And I think looking into what the chief said about one way makes a little sense. That's definitely an option. Much as I hate one-way streets, but out of there,
I make a motion that we suspend the rules and waive the second and third reading.
second.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes,
Motion carried.
Yes.
Unanimous.
make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yes.
Passes by majority.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill. Number 3 is Water Wastewater Commission, confirmation of Wayne Rob's term renewal on commission. So,
On where?
on the water waste, on this confirmation of Wayne Rob's
No,
term.
nobody
it's just a
is here, but AC, you were at the meeting.
Right.
For the,
Wayne, this is a confirmation for Wayne Rob's renewal on the company,
Oh, yes.
Water Wastewater Commission. No one's here from the commission, so.
Yeah.
No, they've already
You
approved it.
are- it's been
Y'all just have to
approved.
confirm it.
Yes. So call for vote,
Yeah. Or call for a motion.
call for motion, I'm sorry.
make a motion to approve Wayne Rob and the Water Wastewater Commission.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Number 4 is 2023 council calendar adoption.
Had a worry about July 3rd on here. Y'all want to meet following Monday or keep it that way?
What's wrong with July 3rd, Tom? Where you gonna be, buddy?
Yeah.
Be here.
Oh,
Question is, it's the day before 4th of July, and will you?
I'm old, bad, I don't go late.
I'd say move it to the 10th.
I agree.
Move it to the 10th? Oh, gosh.
I'll be flipping pancakes, it don't matter.
That's right. We know where you're.
Yeah, you know where I'll be.
Go. So y'all want it moved to the 10th on the July?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other concerns on there?
I have a question.
Labor Day. Well, Labor Day is the 4th,
Yeah.
and so I have it moved to the next day, Tuesday the 5th. Do you want it to be moved to the following Monday? On the 11th?
It was okay by me, we did that this year, and we didn't move it up to the, you were gone or something, we moved on to a month later.
August, yeah.
That's August, okay.
Do you like that September 5th? Is that okay?
Want to do Tuesday or the next Monday?
No different than that, I mean.
Tuesday's good? Okay.
Tuesday's gone.
Yeah, and then,
Parades work with.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What do y'all think about setting budget meetings on this calendar?
that'd be too hard to put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Nobody knows when they're gonna be free all the time.
Good.
Like-
Sounds great in theory, but.
Yeah. I don't think y'all can pin that down and keep it.
Well, if you're gonna have quarterly, you really would only have 3, because by the 4th one, you're back in a budget discussion again.
Oh, so it's quarterly
Oh,
thing?
you're talking,
Or
oh,
budget,
I
not
thought
about a
you
budget.
meant for the.
No, not
Review.
We got the next day.
I think that's a good idea.
I mean, we keep saying we're gonna have these review meetings with the department heads, blah, blah.
Don't schedule it.
So
And we
do
don't
you-
do it in November the next thing.
So do you want them in March? Do you want it in March then?
Now, well, it's I think it'd be better to have it like in April and then 3 months after that, right? So you have all of the first 3 months data. Have it the week after the, city council.
Sorry.
We want to have like following Monday after the city council, like April the 10th.
So if you have it in April, then.
Tom, do you wanna complete a quarter? Yes. And then do it? So April. Oh, I keep looking at.
Mr. Brown's asking about the following Monday after.
April 10th.
April
Or, Tom, would that be too much material, or could we cover that in the council meeting?
Oh, I saw your reaction to my talk about the water audit. If we were to throw that in there, you would be dying. No, it has to be with the volume of
So
the,
April 10th
That's April 10th. April the 10th.
for a quarterly capital committee,
budget review.
Budget review.
budget review meeting.
So then July 17th.
Yep. If you want to
Because
follow
it-
it, 2 weeks.
Because we went to the 10th, right?
That's the same night as the planning commission meeting. I mean, that's 2 meetings in one night for the recorder.
Well, it's just a little bit.
Yeah, and I have 2 of them.
Oh, you meant you. That was a joke.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Uh,
Anybody?
What was that again for the,
July 17th.
July 17th is a planning commission meeting, but it's at 6. 30. 6:30.
well, Ken, we wouldn't have any, sports or whatever, I mean, you know, so, could we do it, is that
Let's
next month?
do it the next day.
Tuesday?
Tuesday the 18th.
I mean, as these get closer.
There's
we
a
can
Parks
adjust
Commission
some of
meeting
them.
that night.
Yeah, they can come early.
Well,
We can find another room.
I'm just like, that's 2 meetings though going on at the same time, and I just,
Yeah, I'm
Wish we
saying
didn't
for-
have to do
for
that.
Charlotte,
What about
yeah.
the next Monday? 17th.
44th.
oh, that's our wastewater commission meeting. We got a lot of meetings, y'all.
We got 3 commissions.
Did we,
You get it.
what about a Wednesday night, July 19th?
I'd go for that.
that okay with you?
Either the 19th or the 12th. I mean, now that we passed the,
You want to do the 12th or the 19th, John?
What's, our meeting's the 10th.
Uh-huh.
What was the 11th? Nothing?
it's parks.
No, the
That's
11th
the
is,
next week.
July 11th is nothing, but
I mean, we got back-to-back meetings.
that's what I mean. That's all. Do you want to give yourself a day's break? You probably want to give Tom a day's break, because he gets a lot of stuff ready for a council meeting.
I would like July 11th, that's a farmers meeting.
The 12th,
12.
I go for the 12th.
11th is a big day for me too.
Okay.
12's okay?
we all do a lot of
11th is a
stuff.
big day for me.
Yeah. What's,
So you got time to prepare
Turns
anything for
45.
next day?
oh,
Turns 45.
I got you.
Thank you.
So July 12th,
Unless you got my 6.
Yeah.
Would July 12th work for you then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you're gonna have on Wednesday, why not have it on Wednesday after?
So July 12th.
July 12th.
and then the next one is budget.
October 9th.
And then October the 9th.
It's Columbus Day, we're off work that day. Aren't we? Do we get Columbus Day?
No.
Oh, that was
Is
your.
that the one we don't get?
That is
I'm
your.
sure
I did, the 9th.
We tried to do it, but,
So we're taking it off now.
October 9th. Okay, now what time do y'all like to have? Y'all want them at like 5 or 6? Or like 7?
Let's see, we're gonna sure about. June 19th is June 8th.
7?
That's the actual day.
Y'all like 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. All of these will be at 7.
So we say October the 9th, is that what we're shooting for?
Huh?
October the 9th, is that what we're shooting for?
Yes.
The last one.
Okay.
That was Monday. It's going to be a Monday. And then is that it? So there's 3 of those a year?
Yeah.
Because after October, you're gonna get it in place.
Right.
Yeah. And we need to, at the end of this meeting or something, nail down our next 2 budget study sessions if you don't mind.
yeah, that's,
Okay, so I've got those quarterlies on this calendar,
okay.
as we just said them.
Thank you for everything.
There, motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Motion and second.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, for moving our equipment.
Oh, yeah.
No, we're not.
Make sure I can, what you guys were talking about earlier.
Number 5 is finance resolution to update disaster recovery business and continuity plan.
Every 3 years, legislative audit does a full IT audit on all of our processes and all of our securities and all of our accesses. And one of the things that they do is they look at we have to send them all sorts of documents, give them access to our system so that they can try to break it. They did a lot of work with DCR, so DCR helped us immensely with it. The only one finding that they came out with was one that we told them we weren't able to provide them. And we weren't going to try to make something up just to get it to them. And it had to do with our disaster recovery plan. We did have one, but we had just recently, if you recall, changed to a cloud-based backup system and a cloud-based redundancy. And by doing so, we did not have that fully documented yet. So we told them it was in need of revision, and so they gave us a supplementary finding on it. My response to them when they come to do the final exit with us is that here's a copy of it, and we had to bring it to you to show you what we've changed. This was all done in conjunction with, well, for the first thing, half the names were wrong on the original one we had. We had people that weren't even here that were responsible, so we would have, by technicality, would have had to call them up, tell them to go to the safe deposit box over at the bank, and they're now authorized. So the other thing is that the technical aspects of this have been updated and modified to what we actually do. And we'll present that to them at the finding, but we wanted to present it to you so that you can approve it. And that's pretty much all. It's a technical compliance thing that we're doing.
Well, the 2 pages that we did replace in this are pages 6 and 7. We have a new restorative, or whatever that is, this diagram, and replication map.
For the cloud base,
But DCR gave up those two to us. That's the only change that I know
all the names
in the next.
that are on the first page is talking about who does it. Technically, I don't even know why the names have to be there. It should just be positions.
It's just something that,
I
yeah, I
agree.
agree. Well,
Because then every time somebody leaves, you're out of compliance.
I agree.
But I'm not gonna make that wave right now. This is needed because we are probably a couple of weeks away from an end with legislative audit. And so we need to present this to them with our response.
show
to
them
the
that we
supplemental.
did it. So,
We had to jump through a lot of hoops. Now, they only do this every 3 years, and then every year after that, they do a very minor review, and it's not as in-depth and in detail as this is. But we had the pleasure of having it this year.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
And it's unanimous.
Thank you. Number 6, Mr. Hamby, update on city lake annexation.
You have a letter in your file from Sheridan, at the land highway closing. As part of the statutory requirement, we have to have certification from a licensed abstractor that we actually own all the land that's described in the legal description. And she's been working on this for a year or more, it seems like. And so I told her I was retiring. I told her that about the last 3 or 4 months, and that Sonny and his office were not very happy with me, and that we needed to get this thing done. And she kept telling me she was working on it. Finally, I said, I need a letter from you just explaining so that everybody knows it's not me holding things up, what the deal is. And so she sent this letter, and there's an attached map. And as she explained it to me, and I've met with Travis and talked to Travis. Travis owns and operates an abstract office, so he's somewhat familiar. That there are various tracts of property within the boundary lines that we have that were annexed, that she cannot find a document of title to the city, and most of it's under the lake. And some of the properties as we went through, due to my age, I remember there was part of annexation of some of the Holland property way back in the late 80s when I first went to work for Walters. There was some annexation litigation, and part of that I was able to identify for her to where to go look in the litigation records in order to find that. She found some of those, but there's still some that are missing. And I don't know if Travis, I didn't have one of these when I met with you the other day. Do you have a copy of it? I'll give you a copy of that so that he can get with her to see it between the two of them. They can't get this issue resolved and get all that's missing is certification. Everything else is ready to go and hit the file and be done.
Hey, Mike,
Yes,
on your map there.
not my map.
The lot number 32, if you look on the county records, that's part of well, it would be 32 and 40 actually on this particular drawing we have here. Those are tied to rural Holland property in the county record.
Okay.
There's to the north, there's a large parcel that he has. I think.
Is that where the markings are? It feels like somebody scribbled on it.
Well, to the left, the ones that look like somebody scribbled on it in county records show to be us.
Those are the ones that she says she's receiving
Daniel,
documents on.
I contracted with Rixie to go through these, and he provided us the parcels and the deeds to all of our city property there. That was included in the package that I gave
Is that what this is?
Mike, I don't know, and that is this right here. And there are your deeds,
That's kind of like this.
there are your deeds.
I've provided all of that to Sherry,
And
and she
What I
said-
would like is for all this information, for some reason or other, since I gave this to Mike, when was it, 8 of 2021, I have not heard another thing from him. I've been in the dark, I've been out of the loop, and I have Sherry Lynn calling me, asking me questions of things that I have no idea what she's talking about. There are two ways to annex by petition. There's a hard way and there's the easy way. Now, the easy way, and this is according to Jim Von Duggan, is the application by petition when a majority of the real estate owners of any part of the county contiguous to and adjoining to any city of incorporated town desires to be annexed, they may apply to be annexed by petition. In this manner, titles are not required, parcels are required. As you know, since I've been in this office back here, I have annexed more acreage to the city of Greenwood than anybody else has ever done. I have written statutes for the state and presented them to the state legislature on enclaves and got it passed unanimously. So I know a little bit about annexation. Plus, I lean on Mr. Von Duggan. And he says there's two ways to do this, the hard way and the easy way. And he said the way you're going, the path you're going is the hard way. And so what I would like to get this information back and then let me and Travis sit down and see where we're going to go with this. My other option is to take all the parcels that we show that we own by the county and that is approved by Arkansas GIS that we own those parcels. And I will have them re-parceled to where we have one parcel that says Greenwood City Lake. Not all these that you see on the map, all these different parcels around there. There will be one large parcel. And then we can go forward with the annexation that way. We will be annexing one parcel. Like I said, this has been going on almost as long as Shadow Lake. And there's no telling how much money that it's cost this city, that being in the county, by loss of grants. I think Stewart even has to pay a fee for Greenwood Rural to protect that in fire because it's not in the city. And it's time to bring it in the city. This goes back to, and I've got memos on annexation of the city lake back in 2013. And this is just continues to go on.
I think that this piece that I'm referring to is, it's not, I'm not talking about annexation, I agree with what you're saying. I think that that piece, at least on the county records, you know, when we added the 3 foot onto the dam, which was like in 88 or whatever, that flooded that area back in there, and I don't know if the city at that time.
And this is the document from Brixie, and it shows this area here deeded back to Will Hall.
Wait, let me get where you.
This is the lower area that you're looking at down there. That would be back to Rural.
The city deeded it back?
Right here is this. Right? Right? No. Is that? Right.
Let's see. Here's a certificate of record for parcel number 9, which is C9. January the 2nd, 1981, and it's filed by Jan Sterling,
It was,
Deputy Curtis.
is that this?
That is C9, which is there. There.
Yeah, that's not a question. Look, you see a little triangle right there?
This one here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not, that's sure. But look right here, see this piece of property? Rural Holland, see how it's cutting across the wall? You know, that's Greenwood, that's Greenwood. There's a chunk right there that's Holland.
But you see, like I said, all this has the warranty, the deeds, filing, and again, it was included, so I don't know where Sherry Land. This is
Both sides of that are
this
yours.
part down here. That's the one that is showing that was easy back there.
That's in Greenwood.
Yeah. But again, I would like to have all that back so I can start from square one and get this taken care of because it's taking entirely too long. And I will be glad
So are you wanting somebody to tell Sherry Lynn to just cease and desist?
there is a statute on
I mean,
annexation by petition. DEUA.
Is that what you want? Asking Sonny's to get everything, information back from, what's the name?
Perry Land and
land title.
Land title.
Give extra one of those.
I do. And like I said, if you'll read through there, there's nothing on there that says anything about having a title. If you go over to 144609, where it says annexation by 100% petition, that is the hard way. And it does require a letter or title opinion from a certified abstractor or title company verifying that the petitioners are all owners of the record of the relevant property or properties. Mr. Von Duncan explained that to me was if you were annexing a large area and you had multiple owners out there, and you were doing it by majority, that they had to show that they own the property. The other way, you do it by parcel. So that's my request.
I will turn everything over to Travis. I spoke to him about this and talked to Sherry Lynn.
Good.
And to get it resolved. I would note that I did sit down with Stuart with Sonny, and I went over what he's calling the hard petition way, and clarified that that was my understanding, but I've been wrong before. If you ask my wife, she'll say I've been wrong many times. So if I'm wrong, I apologize, and you got a young new city attorney that is probably smarter than me, and get the planning department on the right track. And I apologize, Sonny, for any delay that could be on.
I just couldn't get any information, Mike, from Alec.
Stop.
Well, I sat down with you one day in the office and I read over the statute. And it just,
You sit there and be quiet. I'm having a conversation with Mr. Canby up there, not with you.
Gentlemen. Have a motion and a second to table. How do you, Mr. McCall?
I'm going to do that, but it's just my day.
Yeah.
Here we are.
There we go.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Jim Perry?
Yes.
It's unanimous. Next.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, finance, resolution to adopt action plan, restatement.
Yeah, so, I believe we let you know that the city, you approved the city pension plan to be able to allow loans on their vested balances. So that has gone forward, and this is the official language from our retirement attorneys, these 3 pages. It's an amendment to the city of Greenwood Employee Pension Plan and Trust. The second part, there's 1 and 2. Number 2 is the participant loans. So that's just the legal,
Don't say no.
portion necessary in our plan to allow for that. The first one is a question that myself and the mayor had about forfeitures and when elected officials forfeit their city plan that the city's paid in and then elect to do the statutory. He needed to Joshua Osborne needed to update the language in there on it. He's going to seek an attorney general's opinion, going to go forward and do that about the situation where, for instance, it's Doug and me, since we're such long-term elected officials and we haven't had the mayor and city clerk so long like this in a very long time, when I would forfeit, say in my instance, if I were to forfeit the cities and take the statutory retirement, which is the half of my salary for the rest of my life, I would, usually what we've done is forfeit that my entire tenure of what the city's paid in. Once I reach 20 years of combined experience, I'm eligible for the statutory retirement. Well, what he's trying to find out with AG opinion is, it's hard to explain, but how long it takes me to reach the 20. You go before that to when I was just a regular employee, and say there's 5 or 6 years of that the city paid in on me. I've got 26 years total here. Just the 6 years would I be eligible for anything the city paid in. Not the whole thing, just that first part. Do you understand what I'm getting at? That's what he's going to find out with AG opinion. There's about 5 of them out there, he said, but none of them are specifically this situation. And the mayor and I both are in that situation, so he's going to go ahead. But he put this language in here to basically say, we can forfeit it and then do whatever the statute allows. So when he gets his opinion and clarification, we may come back and clarify in this for the plan. It may stay this way, or it may be updated next time. But for now, he wanted to, since we're going ahead and doing the participant loans, he wanted to go ahead and review the lingo for forfeitures upon election of statutory pension benefits.
So do we need to wait to approve this amendment?
No, I asked him, he said go ahead, because he's gonna have to do the work later on anyways. Might as well do it now, it's just it's not like this 67 page, you have to redo it all.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
And Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous. Well, this is their resolution they give us, and so we treat it that way. Well, a lot of times, I do the resolution, but yeah, it's just this amendment. What do you got me to for you?
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Derrick, for explaining that.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain.
Yes. So number 8 is finance resolution adopting temporary budget for 2023 operation.
Is there any way possible that we would have the budget approved by December 31st?
Now,
May I say more?
no.
So this would be the one that you would be temporarily advancing our current budget so that we can operate through our January period and have the budget fully reviewed and fully approved by January 31st.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
Second. Motion second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
I have a question before I vote. In the past, when we've done this, we've called it an operating budget. This just basically extends the current 22 budget.
Right, that's what it does.
We just get the exact same language as we have here.
We've done that before where, I mean, you're basically saying we're doing an operating budget, I mean, whatever the necessary expenses are. I mean, you're not like capital expenses and stuff like that, kind of.
Yeah, we don't not pay the electric bill.
Right, yeah.
Right, but any discretionary spends that are budget specific, we do not do off the 23 budget until that budget is passed.
Yeah.
So they're held. So if they started any projects in January that are on the new budget year, until you approve the budget, we don't cut the check.
Says operating.
Greenwood's operating under the 2022 budget.
And this does, obviously this doesn't start till January 1.
He said yes. Tim,
Yes.
thank you. Unanimous. Y'all didn't hear him, that's why.
Unless
I
we
needed
get the
to-
budget approved before the 31st.
That'd be the first. That's my goal.
What are the bare
Line
minimum?
items.
Had that for just 16 years I've been doing it.
Keep the lights on.
Uh-huh. That's what we're doing.
It rarely happens in January.
No, that's all. It
January
it
31st.
has to be by January 31st. You have to have it by February 1.
Okay, thank you. Number 9 is the police department, a vehicle purchase resolution to amend budget for vehicle transfer. Oh, thank you. Oh.
Flying was fly, by the way.
He can't vote. Mayor Council, Mr. Airy, Mr. Henry, apologize for being late, bound on my green. This all came about pretty quick. Hunter called me yesterday, and I know you had his budget, or planning budget study session, and they're wanting to buy my truck. It's an awkward situation where when this happens, I'm gonna be carless. So, I went to the mayor and Tom today, and I did find a vehicle in, I think it's Illinois. Same problem with finding police cars. Arkansas might get cars this year, but it's gonna be months before they can get them in. So, I can't go months without a vehicle, obviously. So I'm asking you if and the situation Tom just explained about the budget, capital expenditures, and this would actually go on 22's budget. But if you're going to approve planning buying a truck, I would like to purchase my replacement so it's ready to go. Today I spent all day taking the lights and stuff out of the truck, so hopefully that's going to happen. It sounded like it with talking to Hunter. But I'd like to purchase the truck, actually it's going to be a Durango, to replace my truck, and of course in the meantime, waiting for that purchase from planning on my truck to take place. I can get stuff ordered to outfit the Durango, so it's not 6 months down the line with no vehicle.
So the other day when we had this budget meeting, we talked about this happening in the 23 budget when we met with the team. So we're wanting to scrap that plan and back up to this plan.
That's what they want. The reason I think it is because there's a vehicle available right now for them to be able to make this trade happen. We also talked about trading in the planning department's truck and letting them use it as a trade-in, but it's not feasible given where the purchase is coming from. So it'll either be sold or
I would suggest they use that money to put the amber lights in the truck. Of course, I mean, he's going to need to replace the blue lights. I'm taking those out, and he's going to need to replace those. The brush guard and the spotlight will be left on there, and blue lights taken off. So he's going to need the amber lights on scenes that he gets out. So I would use that truck auction and use that money to put those amber lights in there. I had a suggestion for it. It's just an awkward situation. I'm not used to the way this is going down. I guess it would be months without having a replacement vehicle if we didn't get ahead of it.
the net impact to the police department budget is $1,500. The net impact to planning department is they're going to incur $43,000 for the purchase of the vehicle, for the purchase of their vehicle. So it's a transfer that we're doing from planning, both general departments, so it's all general money. We're not actually cutting a physical check until we actually buy the vehicle from, for police. What happens is, planning is going to transfer $43,000 to police budget as revenue, and then police is going to go and buy the vehicle, the Durango, for $44,500, but it's offset by the revenue we just gave them from the ledger of planning. And the net cost to the police department would be the difference in the two prices. It's a good deal for the police department, and it's a good deal for planning because their original truck that they were looking at getting would be somewhere in the $60,000-$70,000 range. If you can get it.
Is
So
the truck all
this-
bashed up and beat up still?
It's confused right now.
And the other reason that he didn't mention is, and correct me if I'm wrong, his is a diesel, and they would rather have a gas vehicle. The diesel doesn't bother the planning department because they stay more local.
But we traded in that trailer that was needed to pull, so I don't
Yes.
have a need for the truck anymore, at least that size.
I make the motion to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Did you, before you do that, you haven't filed,
Okay, department reports and questions from council.
Since that's, I've got a couple of things here.
Sure.
Number one, is to remind you, we have two tracks of litigation going on. One, we're not in the county. I believe we recently got some correspondence from the misdemeanor defending us in that. And there was a court date set. Did you copy that one?
I did, yes, sir.
Remember what the court date?
I did not, unfortunately, but I did get that notification.
Seems like it was March.
Yeah, it was a little ways out.
Anyway, I just want to let you know that that is set, and those of you that got to join in on the fun during the last federal hearing we had, I anticipate we'll get to go back up before the magistrate and have a mediation session. I know Mr. Terry was there, so I imagine that once that's set, you have to circle your calendar, you all have to.
What is that litigation? You can make nothing to do with the county boys, our guy just standing there watching, we're getting double meetings.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get kicked out of that by summary judgment motion is what I'm hoping. But I haven't heard where we stand on that yet. I just know that there's a trial date set. And I'll get that information to Mr. Plummer. The other thing is we have the Morlock. We have a jury trial scheduled on that to determine how much the check is that we're going to have to cut to them. That is scheduled for February 16th. I received correspondence from their attorney making a settlement offer. He indicated that we have $3,180 that we deposited in the registry of court, which was what the appraiser said that was fair market value property. However, the other the attorney representing him knows that we're going to be out additional cost in order to try this thing. And attorneys call that nuisance matter. And the appraiser charges $2,500 to do the appraisal. We're going to have to pay them to come to the jury trial and sit and testify at the jury trial. So you're probably looking at another $2,500 or more for their services to come and do that. Those are not things that are recoverable if we win. And so they have made an offer of $7,000, including the application of $3,180, which means it would be around $4,000 more. I told them that I would not recommend that to the council. They told me that basically they thought the bottom line that they would go for would be $6,000. I talked to Mr. Plummer in detail about this. We looked over the lawsuit, and I believe Mr. Plummer and I came to the conclusion that that would probably be a reasonable resolution for it. If you're going to be out an additional $2,500 to drag the appraisers up there, you guys are going to have to, at least the mayor anyway, is going to have to take off work, come up there, and you can never tell what the jury's going to do to begin with. There's some unknown there. Mr. Plummer's here, and I'll let him speak up and confirm that that's what our conversation was.
That's correct. I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know that it'd be very wise to incur that extra expense when, the deal that was offered or negotiated cost the city roughly the same amount of money, so save everybody some time and resources. That's just my opinion. I agree.
So if you were interested in doing that, I would just need a motion authorizing me to extend that counter offer to them of 6, and I'm 99.9999% sure that that will wrap up that litigation.
So it costs us another $29.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I'm sorry, hold on. We are not supposed to do that when things are on the agenda. Do we need to put it on the agenda?
If you would add that to the agenda.
We need to add on your agenda, please, number 10. What do you call it?
More settlement.
More like settlement discussion.
Sorry for butting in, but.
I thought it was going to be under council.
Well, our little procedural rules prevent this.
Actually, I forgot about that until just now. I see Mr. Paul.
Okay, now.
Can I ask?
I'll make a motion to extend an offer to the board of settlement.
Good motion to say, I do like to ask, or state, I guess, or maybe ask too. We're offering 6,000 now.
6,000 total,
Total.
including the 3180.
We first have to vote on the addition to the.
Yes.
So all in all, and I'm just, for the record, I suppose, because it's just irritating to me that we have to do this. But the total amount of cost of this easement, side all said and done, 2,500 for the appraisal. I'm sorry, yeah, for the appraisal, $3,200 for the money in the court, and then 4,000.
You're talking about $8,500 if they've got out of the city and arguing for this.
I'd just like to say, but I'm ready to move on. We, as you know, RDOT, or the grant is, we're building sidewalks, so I'd hate for this to end up another.
I mean, we already have a
We already
judgment
have
given
that,
us.
you can build that, just,
Well-
how about we write the check for, and when you have a degree trial, somebody denies.
Yeah, I just think it's amazing, and this is, I mean, obviously it's not you, it's the people that are holding out. I think it's just incredible that something like that would go to jury trial, period, but that's just my
And
2
what
cents.
property is it?
More like, right on the other side of O'Reilly's, there's a rent house,
Oh,
Right next to it.
right beside, it's that rent house property. They dwell in Texas.
This is a lesson, when anybody comes in for a remodel or anything, we'll grab easements.
Good lesson.
Okay, so it's to extend an offer of $6,000?
6,000 total, including what's held in the registry clerk's office.
Okay.
If they want to build a tool shed, we grab easements.
All the rest of the property of phase 1, we've already got everything squared away. Just want to make sure somebody else doesn't get back and say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to
Yeah, we got all the rest of it.
We want to vote? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
I could have voted no for you, Mayor, that you didn't like it.
So,
I was going to vote no for reasons you don't like this money.
oh, that's okay.
It was going to pass anyway.
You don't have to, yeah, you don't have to do it on my, I made my,
Yeah.
correct, so, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
That's all I have.
Quick
Okay.
update on the,
Yes, so to go on record also, tree removal, I'm calling it the lake, everybody remembers, I think that has been settled.
That has been settled, Mr. Goldstein has to check in hand, is what I
And
understand.
In the bank.
that's,
it's actually in the city's bank.
city's bank, that was $1,000.
Tree gate?
Tree gate.
Tree gate, yes, that's behind us now.
Are we going to replant trees?
We're gonna, Mr. Goldstein has encouraged Mr. Casey, or Mr. Craig, I guess, to start looking into loblolly. I think he called them poplar trees tonight, but I think he meant loblolly pines, so, or whatever appropriate. So I think Mr. Meeker had a,
Just let it go.
I
said, I would
just let it go, don't plant anything.
It's gonna look real nice.
Make a real nice
No.
field for them, all that
I see,
scrubby mess that's
I
going
see
to
what
grow.
you're
Like
saying.
Sawbriar.
No.
Greenbrier,
It'll replace itself.
Yeah, I haven't been back out there, but I assume there's probably some stuff growing up already. Okay, but I want
Yeah.
to say that on record that that's been satisfied. Council forum, yes, sir, unless you have a question for department heads.
Mine might be a little bit I mean, I always said I was complaining, but I actually had people call me and complaining, so I'm like, I get to talk for my constituents for once. But just asking about the lighting company. The lights back on, I'm just curious.
Well, the chief and I paid, I hate to admit that I paid attention to Facebook, unfortunately, but that is a pathetic tool of feeling the pulse of the citizens.
Our fire department uses a lot too.
Yeah, so we did that, we watched it, initially it was my thought and the chief's, if I may speak on your behalf a little bit, both to leave it off and put a permanent stop sign there. And these are discussions that I had with chief and then with Chad Adams with the highway department. Of course, as you know, we're taking over that section anyway, so he's kind of like, do what you want, Mayor, it's going to be yours pretty soon. So, but we watched Facebook, we watched those comments, and I would say they went from 40-60 no to 60-40 yes, and then half and half, and then finally I just got back with the chief and I really leaned on him a little bit. His office is right there, he watches that, so after talking to, I did certainly have to go ahead and put the repair of the loop before we took over the highway, because if we'd have waited, we would have been out that. It was only a few $100s, I think, but either way, I wanted the contractors to repair. Yes, sir.
We stopped at that stoplight at City Car that one day.
Right, so my mind was kind of changed along with, I say changed. I had noticed that people had called and said, I can't see across down the bridge in a car. Well, I never thought about it because I don't drive a car. I drive either my wife's Cherokee, which sets up like a truck, or a truck. And so we were in the city vehicle, and sure enough, it's very difficult to see this way, east, thank you.
So north on Coker,
if you're, yeah.
trying to turn left.
Yes, if you're sitting there at the stop sign.
That yellow sign is there.
It's the bridge and big.
Well, it's a bridge.
Yeah.
It's the solid, so somebody suggested on Facebook that we replace the solid with something you can see through. Well, it's not our bridge to do that, or it wasn't then, it is now. So anyway, long story short, in my infinite wisdom, if you will, and listening to the chief a little bit, not throwing him under the bus, but I told Chad Adams from RDOT, I said, Jeff's guys first went and unbagged it. We left it alone one night without the bags and left it off. And so we turned it back on just to now listen and see what people are saying. So far, I've not noticed a lot of chatter about it at all. Now, it's pretty quick. I have tested it myself several times. When I say tested it, going up at the end on Denver, setting, I set it for about 4 or 5 seconds. It turns, and you go. It turns back pretty quick. So I don't know. I did ask Mr. Adams, and Jeff knows this too, that what I would want to do is have a system there that we can adjust to our needs. Because if there's only 5 cars a day needing to turn left on 10, we ought to have something to be able to adjust for that. So
right now, the technology that's in it is kind of a dumb technology.
Yeah.
It's basically on demand. You hit the
Absolutely.
sensor, it changes.
Yeah.
There's nobody on the sensor, you go. We would have to change it out to the regular sensors that are on the poles.
Camera
like,
system.
the kind of like cameras, to make that happen, to upgrade that.
So
The other
that-
thing that we noticed, I think when it was initially turned on and off,
Yeah.
people still don't understand how to operate with a flashing yellow, a flashing red, or a double flashing red, just like a four-way stop. That didn't work.
that didn't work. So I thought we'd just go back to that used to be.
And then we can look to upgrade the light.
And then we could always look. And there's been some discussion of removing that light. And by the way, I haven't signed the paper, but I'm going to be doing it the next day or two when they send it to me. We can take that light down at some point if that's the desire of you gentlemen. We talked about moving or having one at 10 on 10 at Westwood, because that's really an issue right there. I think everybody would agree. I'm sorry, you have.
What would the camera sensor cost?
Just off the top of my head, probably a $50,000 upgrade.
As a person who lives on Coker Street,
I was waiting for you.
I didn't have a problem either way with it off, but it works fine. When you're, I mean, if I'm going to church or whatever, going downtown, or going to whatever that is, as Jeff said, you pull up there, it flips the switch, you go through. It's not that big a deal.
And when you go through, okay, there's, let's say there's 10 cars that stop on, we'll call it Center Street now, since it's not Pittsburgh. And then you pull through, Daniel's off to church, and then here comes your neighbor right behind you, pulls up as that thing just turned red. 3 cars come through, and then it goes back yellow, and then your neighbor goes through. So we're going 3 cars at a time. Every time somebody pulls up, that's the main gripe I've got, is how quick it turns. And really, all of them need to be adjusted. I don't know, I just noticed that Jeff's name was on the board over here at the street department. I didn't know he was even hired, but I'm hoping he has some knowledge of how to manipulate that stuff, because like at Denver and Center, the turn lane will just come on for no reason at 5:30 in the morning. I always want to film when I'm going to work, just for, I almost did for this meeting. It's so frustrating. Normally I just run. So anyway, but it's like, why? I mean, they're all jacked up. The one in my road, I mean, I could be 50 feet from Highway 10 coming down Harvard. It'll turn for me, and I love it. I just drive right through it, turns green, but it doesn't make any sense why it does that.
I will say this too, though, and you know me, I'm anti-stoplight too, but, coming here tonight, if you turn before we stop, the break in that traffic allows you to get out of that Y.
Which is what traffic signals are for, so that's the other
It-
side of the street.
It does cause a break in the traffic to where you can pull out from part of the bank, so that's helpful.
So there's a reason, I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but there is a reason they call them traffic control lights. Is to do
I got asked about that intersection too, about making that a yield again. I don't know, it goes back and forth, yield to stop,
They did that in one day.
yeah.
And that was our, one
Right.
day it was a stop sign, next day it was a yield, and they turned back to stop sign.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure the chief does.
Okay. Chief had a little something to do with that.
The people that were trying to get into Farmers Bank coming from east to west almost got hit, I don't know how many times watching, so I think it's a safety thing.
I thought that's why they changed it.
Well,
Stop
it
sign
was
at
a
the
stop
beginning.
sign. and-
I
Yes.
treat it like a yield sign anyway.
Get a lot of confessions here.
In 2020, the upgrade to that camera system done at Denver and some other place, $41,500. So 50,000 is probably a good number.
That's at Denver 71.
That's where the camera systems were put in.
I think that was the Denver Center
Denver
upgrade.
Center, yeah.
So it's been upgraded, it's still terrible.
Well,
There it was.
so you're actually talking about 3 different things, because if you have a set of lights that are all timed, then you can do what you're talking about. When they're sensors, when they're the camera sensors, it's definitely,
Not time.
but then when you have these loop sensors, it's supply and demand really is what it is. So you have 3 different options.
But we have sensors at Denver and Center, right?
We do,
So why is it doing what he says?
I'm
Some
telling
of-
you, that turn arrow will come on randomly.
some of it has to do with what and they're really not cameras.
You're driving in the wrong.
They sense the traffic, and it's kind of a broad view, and if something hits that camera, if you will, it triggers it and it changes it.
Or if the sun's shining on it, it doesn't change at all sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, so it's,
Or fog. Yes.
it's technology, it's great when it works.
Hey, we use a roundabout there.
Now you're talking. I'm all for roundabouts.
You see Tim circle.
Actually, I have one that NPO has, I did the roundabout request about 5-6 years ago, and it's still on the list. It's right down there. It was an experimental, hey, let's look at that. It's down here at Denver and Bell Road now. So it's actually on there.
Well, that was my deal too. I was getting obviously some feedback when I was complaining about it, getting turned back on. And some guys were saying something about, well, I come down Coker and we love it. And I said, well, the people at Ulmer Street like to talk to you. And Bell Road, you know.
Yeah, you can be in a room, and I did it the other day. I just happened to be somewhere, and there were 5 people, 6 people in the room, maybe 5, I think there were 5, it was odd. And I said, hey, just for kicks, who likes the light being back on? And I think 3 raised their hand, and 2 was almost cussing at me. So it's always,
It's only been quartered by tradition.
yeah, so that answers your question. That's kind of how the history of why we are where we are.
So all I need to do is get me a Facebook page, get a poll
Start
going, and I can dictate city policy.
That's
That's
right,
good.
that's right.
My comment's positive, I just, the sidewalk looks great.
What's
I
that?
was watching Hawkins Weir come over there so they had everything set up, and they come in, and they said, great, Hawkins Weir's managing it, and he's giving them all locale, and I was thinking, this is a quality job, quality people working, and, that looks really, really good. And it looks really like they're doing a real good job.
Yeah, I don't, they're not just going through there digging a hole and pouring concrete.
No,
Sure,
it's
The engineers actually been on site,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Ron
Terry
said,
was
you've
down.
seen them out there,
2 days ago.
going over those places with Crawford, they're doing a great job.
When Crawford had their transit set up and everything, and they were checking grades, and some guy from Weir Construction pulled up a truck, and he's over there looking at it, and he kind of walked over and he gave him thumbs up, to keep going, you know. So there's oversight. So I think we're gonna end up with a sidewalk pyramid like last time, out there on Denver Street.
Denver Street.
Could we go ahead and look at our calendars and get at least the next study session, but we would like to get the next 2 nailed down, because somebody asked us.
Can I say one more thing before we do that?
Sure.
We've all given Jacob Burton a pretty hard time, me included, about all his projects. He's doing the work out there at the lake on the bridge, and when Jacob says me and my boys are going to do it, he means that literally. Him and his boys are out there carrying big rebar, waste-deep water, they're pumping water, the pumps are going out. They've got the coffer dam, they pump that water out, get down in the pit, working on that thing. I don't know, Mayor, I don't think he's poured the concrete on the ramp side yet.
Not just the other day, yeah.
He's really close to pouring that concrete on the ramp side, and so he told me the other day, his goal is to have those abutments built and done by the end of the year. Now, I don't know if he'll pull that off with the weather, but he's working his tail off out there. I mean, he's a Greenwood guy, and he wants to do it for Greenwood, and him and his boys are working their tail off out there. And they're doing a good job. Nick Wagner Coleman has inspectors that are coming down there, and they're holding his feet to the fire about, I mean, they've got it all engineered and technical, and they're holding to the engineering on the thing. And he's doing what he's supposed to do, so, you know, good for him. I mean, Greenwood boy working on a Greenwood project, so I've been pretty happy with what he's done out there.
He's just not stacking blocks, I can assure you.
Well, going over the calendar too, I just want to commend Charlotte. She has worked above and beyond today. I mean, like I said, we had an A&P committee
Oh, thank you.
meeting, you know, and then she was helping get ready for Mike's retirement party, and then we had this tonight, and she was also doing this, you know, recognition, you know, thing for me, you know, so she was as busy as one could be, and so I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, you're welcome.
And that's your way of asking for taco soup.
Okay, yes, there you go, yes.
Thank you. So yeah, I know who it was now, it was Dalton Moore. Yeah, Dalton Moore wanted to nail down the next 2 because he has to go back to the Water Wastewater Commission with some changes that y'all made during the last Water Wastewater study session. They have to approve the changes that y'all made in the budget. So he wondered if we could get that done soon.
Got some dates.
I mean, Tom, really it's really on Tom what he can do.
I can do anything.
Oh, yeah? Well, do you want to do it one next week and then?
I will be available at your whim. Now, I will let you know, street, parks, fire, police, general, and animal control are all out.
Okay.
So you can either do 2, and these would be the pairings. Street, parks, and animal control. Realizing the street has 3 budgets, parks has 4, animal control has 1. And then you would do fire, police, and general. And fire is 3, police is 1, and general is 1.
That's really,
Those would be your, if you wanted to do 2, might be a long night.
that what you just said is what we have done so much over the years, those exact ones, just like this.
Oh, good.
General, police, fire, at the very last. So, yeah. So on the street parks and animal control one, do y'all want to do one of them next week and then the following week do the general, police, fire?
Do we have an animal control person?
Yes,
Yes.
New hire.
Colin Quinn.
she's from Fort Smith. She was a warden out of Fort Smith.
Former animal control officer or enforcement.
Yeah.
About 4'11", 45 pounds.
We need a newsletter, don't we? Meet the new employees.
Yeah, we need a monthly newsletter down here.
Who's doing that? You?
Then you,
There we go.
So set a day on the budget.
Would y'all like to do 2 in 1 week or 1 week, 1 the next?
Whatever Tom
Get it all
wants to
before
do.
Christmas.
we were gonna do 2 in one night though, correct? 2 departments in one night, that's what.
3, actually.
Three.
Street
Well,
parks,
three.
animal control.
If you want to do 2, then you need 3 sessions.
Yeah, we can do it in 2.
Well, animal control, that's.
Well, you say
Yeah,
that, but.
animal
you're not
control
going
will
to
take long,
do
doesn't
that, so.
Whatever, Mr. Marks wants to do. is fine.
I've done it before, though.
I've been here at 11:30 at night, so, I mean, I'm here at 6:30 in the morning, that doesn't matter to me.
All right, let's do.
The deal with it is I just got fire's budget today. So none of that's been
If it does
compiled. General is compiled last because of all the departments that roll into general.
I would like to do 1 a week.
I would not want to do them in the same week, that would kill
Okay,
us.
then let's do December 13th. That's a Tuesday, if that's okay. I don't know. Y'all have fire things.
Yes, we do have fire meeting.
Okay, the 14th, December
Yes.
14th is a Wednesday?
Yes.
14 will work.
And would y'all like to do it at 6?
I'll say 6.
6? Okay. All right, we'll have them both at 6, but how about the following week then on the 21st? For the general, police, fire.
No, that's what it is, let's try to do them all, and y'all feel for these a little bit.
Well, the reason why I say is because,
How about the 19th? That's long ago.
well, we have planning commission meeting, and then we have parks the next night.
What night do you not do?
We have the Christmas city luncheon on the 20th, so those are not really good.
I won't be able to attend that, I'm going to be working on budgets.
Ooh.
Well, if we have that, that's why I'm not wanting to
Thomas.
have that on there. You want to just do?
Thursday, the 22nd.
Just bring me a plate.
Sure, Thursday, 22nd is open.
Not there, you don't eat.
Do you want to do
Not
that?
there, you don't eat.
Is that go to church? All right,
Thursday, the
Thursday,
22nd.
22nd, okay, for the following.
12:22.
We're doing.
Oh, I'm not gonna be here.
22nd? Well, that won't work. Mayor won't be here.
Well, it is your.
Yes, we do, it's the general one.
Necessarily.
Yes, you do.
I'm leaving
I mean,
the 21st.
There's nothing, I mean, if you do all of this in this time,
Then you,
the only thing left is compile it and then do an approval.
if
Charlie,
you're trying to get
we
it
don't
done
have anything on the planning commission for this
for
one.
the,
Oh, you don't think we have one?
I don't think so.
He doesn't think we have planning commission if you want to.
When is that, the 19th?
Monday, the 19th.
Hanukkah,
You do that?
Everybody got
Mayor
any
be here.
one or two things, so-
Jewish people.
Charlie, will that, will 19th
19th.
be too soon for you, or?
Probably. I mean, that'll just make me work over the weekend.
He likes to work.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Makes you look young, though.
I mean, we passed
Maybe one
this,
day I'll go above and beyond.
we approved this extension, so I mean, if you gotta do one after Christmas,
That's what I'm saying.
do it.
yeah, you're rushing them. to
There's
get-
no
if you're not-
point
if
in
you're not
jamming it all
gonna-
You're
together.
not rushing me as much as you're rushing you guys.
Well, that's what I mean, everybody, the whole thing.
Well, why don't you do one of them like January the 4th or 3rd or 2nd or something?
That sounds good to me.
One of the days.
So we're gonna do December 14th, and then we'll do
It will be
January.
hung over on the 2nd.
The second is
council meeting. I'm on that.
Second, what night is council?
Second, if it's the first one, great.
Second.
How about the 9th?
though, I think, is it?
Yeah, it'll be the 3rd.
Oh, so yeah, we meet.
We look at the calendar.
your holiday, I think.
January 3rd, that'll be a Tuesday.
Yeah.
or-
January 3rd is when our council meeting is.
How about January 9th?
Oh, January 3rd, is
It's
the
a Monday.
council meeting, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was.
January 9th,
yeah.
going once,
Yeah.
Right.
It's always about small.
6 o'clock?
Yes,
These are six, yeah.
dinner of some sort will be served. at these.
What's coming on the 14th of,
Streets, parks,
12, yeah,
and
street
animal
parks.
control.
Street parks and sure.
AC.
Right.
Looks like I'll shoot you a picture of
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for anybody?
I don't have a question, but I thought it'd be, I'll get you a copy of when y'all wanna work in the concession stand.
Yep.
I got it in the truck.
Yep. I would take volunteers for live nativity scene at Bell Park on the third,
You wanna be a
12th, 13th, 15th, and 16th. If anybody wants to be a wise guy.
Tim will be a camel.
Tim will be a camel, okay.
Where it is,
Also,
Sir,
The donkey.
sir, okay.
I wanna be baby Jesus.
You can be baby Jesus. Oh, yeah, and so I failed to do this earlier when we had a few more than we have, but Travis, City Attorney-elect Travis Plummer, obviously is here with us tonight. He's already been run through the ringer a little bit earlier this afternoon with A&P Commission and then
he's been
tonight.
doing all this pro bono.
Yeah,
tonight.
so just, he's not even on the
He's like,
paper.
that's what you think, you're gonna get a bill.
Congratulations, sir, and
Thank you.
welcome to our mess. So,
We'll clean it up.
but
I get to let them go to court.
any other things before I ask for an adjournment? One more time, thank you, Mr. Hamby.
Yes.
Thank you for doing an
Thank
outstanding
you.
job for
Thank you.
2 years, and I truly mean it. I have enjoyed sitting beside you for almost 8.5 years. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Yeah, bless it. Thanks.
Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Thank you very much.
And please take that picture. Let all your grandkids on Oh, well, you want me to leave it here for the city employees? I'll put it on there on the back table.
Farewell.
Well, pleasure. You know what happens.